Welcome to Lead with Clarity. This is a space for leaders who want to grow without losing themselves in the process. Each episode is a short reflection on leadership, influence, and the inner work that shapes how we show up for others. Not hype, not noise, just clear thinking for the journey of leading well. Today's episode is entitled Say No to Almost Everything, Warren Buffett on the Power of Strategic Focus. Here we go. There's a question I ask almost every executive I coach in our first session. I ask them to open their calendar and count how many things on it they would cut if they were starting over from scratch. The number is almost always higher than they expect. And that gap between what is there and what they would actually choose, that's the problem we spend months solving together. So today I want to talk about focus. Not the motivational version of focus where you visualize your goals and write them on sticky notes, the operational version, the kind that requires you to say no, often, deliberately, and sometimes to very good things. Warren Buffett said something that stuck with me for years. He said, "The difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything." He's not saying no to bad things. He's saying no to almost everything. That is a different posture entirely. Think about what Buffett's life actually looks like. He reads for hours every day. He takes very few meetings. He has been investing in essentially the same framework for decades. His edge is not information. Every major investor has access to the same data. His edge is selectivity. He simply refuses to act unless something clears a very high bar. Now let's apply that to leadership. Most of the executives I know are not overwhelmed because they have too many problems. They are overwhelmed because they said yes to too many solutions, too many strategies, too many initiatives at once. The calendar fills up. The team fragments. The results average out. And somewhere in the middle of all that activity, the most important work stops getting done. Here's where people misread this quote. They hear, "say no to almost everything," and they think Buffett is talking about laziness or gatekeeping or simply being hard to work with. That is not it. Some leaders hear it and think it's advice for someone who has already made it, that once you have a track record, you can afford to be selective. But I think that gets the order backwards. The selectivity is often what builds the track record in the first place. The real insight here is that no is not a closed door. It's a form of investment. Every time you say no to something that does not fit your highest priorities, you're making a deposit into the things that do. You're buying time, energy, and focus for the work that actually matters. The most focused leaders I've worked with share one common trait. They're not reactive. They operate from a clear internal filter and they apply it consistently. When something comes across their desk, they don't ask whether it's good. They ask whether it is the best use of what they have right now. And if the honest answer is no, they say so, clearly, without apology. That requires a kind of courage most leaders underestimate. Many of the things we say yes to are genuinely worthwhile. The ask is reasonable. The person asking deserves respect. The project has merit. Saying no in that context takes conviction, not just efficiency. You have to be willing to disappoint in the short term to protect what matters most in the long term. So sit with one question today. Look at your next 2 weeks, your calendar, your commitments, your to-do list, and ask yourself, if a more focused version of me were making these decisions, what would they cut? Not the obvious waste. That's easy. What would they cut that looks legitimate? What would they decline that is a real opportunity but not the right opportunity? That's where your answer lives. Buffett's insight is deceptively simple. Say no to almost everything. But the leaders who live that principle understand something important. Focus is not about doing less. It's about protecting the conditions under which great work is actually possible. You can't protect those conditions if you keep saying yes out of habit, obligation, or fear of missing out. The best leaders are not the ones doing the most. They're the ones doing the right things consistently with full attention. And that only happens when the calendar reflects what truly matters.